Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Hard Nine podcast. Today is May the 12th. That's hard to believe. Um, and obviously, we have said before, life gets in the way. Well, that has happened, which is why we haven't been back for 3 weeks. We do apologize to everyone, but what are you going to do when life happens? With that being said, the last time we talked to y'all, the sky was falling. Um, Chicken Little was about ready to explode, and the entire fan base was about ready to go down like the Titanic. Now here we are, 3 weeks later, 8 game win streak, tied for the best in Major League Baseball this year, and we're only a game out of first place. And the Cardinals are actually playing in not just inspiring but fun baseball.
There, I don't think there's a part of their team right now that you can look at and say it's a problem. The only thing that I would point to as a negative, and I don't want to get into many negatives, but the one thing that's concerning to me is their power. That's
Right.
that's about it. And even then, I say that yesterday they hit 3 home runs and two of them off Mackenzie Gore. By the way, Davey Martinez, just not wanting me to get a quality start out of Mackenzie Gore, costing me a point because I lost by one in fantasy. Just kept the guy in forever. It just made no sense at all. But that's a stud. Like Mackenzie Gore's one of the best pitchers in baseball, in my opinion. You take him deep twice. You add insurance. Nolan Arenado had an interesting quote yesterday, and I think that's probably where we should start because I think this season and the story of it begins and ends with Nolan Arenado. The way that the offseason went, the way that they were planning on doing things differently, but he kind of didn't allow them to do that. And we thought they were middling. They're still, their record's not great, but they're a game out of first place in their division for a Cubs team that everyone's pretty high on. They're right there with them. So this is the quote. He said, for the first time in a long time, it feels like we're excited to come to work and we expect to win a ball game instead of hoping that something good is going to happen. I think that's a key mentality change, and I think that's going to continue. Um,
Well, love to see it.
so you
Um,
have to wonder if just getting some of the veterans out, like not that Paul Goldschmidt was a problem. Of course he wasn't. By the way, he's been great for the
he has.
Yankees. Well, good for him. I'm happy for him. Kyle Gibson, Lance Lynn, those guys weren't the problem, but they also weren't the solution, and I think everyone knew it. And now you have young guys that are have to be the solution. If you're going to have a solution, it's those guys. They're not stopgaps. They have to step up. And for the most part, every single one of them has. And it's been very exciting to watch.
Well, we don't want to get in. I know you don't want to get into negativity, but I do think there are concerns with two of your top young stars
Yeah.
at this point right now in Jordan Walker and Nolan Gorman. And I think those are like honestly questions that are going to have that Ollie's going to have to figure out. And like maybe you see more Thomas to JC, maybe you see Brendan Donovan more in the outfield. I don't know what you're going to do, but it's going to be hard not to put the JC in there when Nolan Gorman and Jordan Walker are really just kind of flailing their way through every at bat, it feels like. And I think that's going to be something interesting to see coming up. I think the pessimistic Cardinal fans, and we know there's a lot of those out there at times where those same guys would say, well, you just won 6 games against Washington and Pittsburgh. I get it, but you beat Skeens again. I think we've beaten him 4 times in the last 2 years, which is unbelievable. You beat Mackenzie Gore. You took two from the Mets, who are one of the top three teams in the National League right now. You could argue without a doubt. And now the schedule gets really tough. You get Philly, you get KC, you got Detroit, Arizona, Texas is in there. I think the Dodgers are in there coming up. So the next 4 weeks are definitely going to be one of those um, where we're going to find out what this Cardinal team is really made of. But I'm intrigued to see what do you do. What if you again put another hat on? What do you do if you're Ollie and you're the front office or whatever, whomever you want to fill in the blank that is pulling the strings in there with a Jordan Walker and Nolan Gorman? Do you let them? Do you give them a long rope like they had said they were going to, or do you start to look at this as we got to probably get our best lineup in there every night? And it's possible that those two guys are not your top nine guys most nights.
Before I get to that, because I honestly I don't know, but before I get to that, I want to get to your point about the softer part of the schedule. First off, they've won 9 of their last 11. They swept two double headers in the same week, which is they just don't do that ever. So that's different. They normally win one and then say, you know what, the next one, whatever. We'll see what happens. Um, I I don't care who you beat. I think it's baseball. This is so annoying to me because guess what? If the Cardinals would have lost that series to Washington, we would have been pissed. If they would
Right,
have lost
agreed.
the game yesterday, they would have blown the lead. Then we would have been upset. If they would have lost to Paul Skeens, which we would all would understood if they lost to Paul Skeens. Almost everybody loses to Paul Skeens. I think he has 6 career losses on his resume, 7, something like that, and we have 4 of them against him. Um, they lost a series to the Pirates in Pittsburgh. The Red Sox lost a series to the White Sox. The Rockies don't have 0 wins. So they almost have 0 wins. They fired Bud Black for no reason. But you have to beat who's in front of you. They can't control their schedule. I absolutely hate that because the people that say, well, you've only played this team, then you don't watch baseball because those teams don't go 0-162. Um, but yeah, for Nolan Gorman and Jordan Walker, I don't know what you do because they've both been, it's like worst case scenario for both of them. They've both been unplayable, like not even close to good enough. Yes, Jordan Walker's been better in right field. I would take him back to being what he was in the outfield if he was hitting like he did his rookie year. Um, Nolan Gorman doesn't even look like the same hitter. I don't know. I know what they did to change him was to try and get him to strike out less, which is working. He is striking out a lot less, but he's not hitting the ball hard. He's not hitting the ball in the air, and his pull fly ball rate is way down. So, like at some point, I don't know if they should have just accepted what he was and say, "I'll take the 30 homers and take the 195 batting average instead of getting the 195 batting average and not getting the homers," because that's what
Yeah,
they're getting
it's
right now.
right. It's very bizarre to watch the decline of both of them at the same time.
Walker
And
looks lost
yeah, he
completely.
looks like if you're going to be honest, and we have both been big Nolan Gorman proponents. I will stick by that. He's still only 24. I understand that, but like you've said before, it's sometimes you have to fish or cut bait. And I'm not saying cut them. No, 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 no. Don't mean that. I'm saying maybe it's time for them to go somewhere and get some. I mean, that's not what we
How many
planned
times are you
on.
going to do that though? It hasn't
Well,
worked in the past.
I don't know that answer, Caleb, but how do you keep them like they're doing literally nothing that helps a ball? You're playing with 11 guys with those 2 guys on your roster, and you could argue one of those guys is a backup catcher. So you're playing with 10 guys. Like we've seen this
Mhm.
Cardinals team, and we've talked about it every year we've done this podcast. Play down like on their roster. Like you need every guy who can not just compete in an at bat, but who can give you a quality in a bat and who can have a successful at bat. Those 2 guys are doing not one of those 3 things. Not one.
And we have a problem now because they brought Herrera back and he's DHing, which by the way, smart. Like I'm glad they're doing
Agreed.
that. Their DH spot's been horrible. Ivan Herrera, who looks great by the way, immediately. That guy, I'm convinced that guy's just a great hitter. Like I think next year we might go into the offseason saying, let's just get this guy to a different position because maybe it's not worth making him go through whatever he's gonna have to go through to become a serviceable catcher. Because I don't think he's a bad catcher. He just cannot control the run game. It's ugly to watch. Maybe tell him to get an outfield glove. I don't know. That might sound stupid, but they're in a problem because Burleson was starting to hit, and now he can't DH because Ivan Herrera's back, and Pozo and Pais have both been awesome. Like just genuinely, they've both been great. Um, so you can put Burleson in right field, but if you do that, then Gorman and Walker can't play. And you can really only play one of Gorman and Walker every day because you're not sitting Brendan Donovan. You're not sitting Lars Nootbaar. He's been awesome. Victor Scott's been the story of the Cardinals so far. He kind of seems like the heartbeat of the team right now. So what exactly do you do? Like, do you send one of them down and pick which one and say we're gonna play this one every day for 2 weeks? Like, say you send Gorman down and you say Jordan Walker, you're playing every single day for 2 weeks, sink or swim. And if he's bad, you switch him out. Like, is that what you do? Because I don't know if you can keep affording to play them once every 3 days and think they're going to figure it out.
Yeah, I don't know that answer either. And it's not like you have an outfielder at AAA who's killing it. Koperniak has a couple home runs, but I think he's hitting like 190 or something like that. By the way, Jimmy
Yeah.
Crooks has 5 jacks. Just to throw that out there. But
Even, like, Ivan Herrera, seriously, like maybe he's not a catcher of the future. Maybe he's just a bat, and that might be fine.
Right, agreed. We agree with that. I mean, that is a possibility. I mean, at this point, it's pretty hard if to look at Thomas JC in the face every day and him not be your everyday second baseman and move Brendan Donovan to right field like that. I don't know how you just don't
Mhm.
do that. And then if you want to give against a tough righty, if you want to give JC a day off, then you put Donovan back at second and put Burley in right. I know it's not ideal
Right.
with him in right field, but yes, I mean, I think but that's where I go back to the roster. Like early coming in, we said we were going to give Gorman and Walker 500 ABs, but it feels like that is changing, right?
I think when you start winning, it changes. But more importantly than that, I kind of the whole time I said this in the offseason, I don't think guys should just be given 500 at bats. Like, at
Right.
what point do we just say earn the opportunity, dude?
Yeah.
Like, I get that we have this thing in this city, and it's more than any other city where we're like, we have to give these guys 3 years of runway, or else it's just unfair. And a lot of that's because of Randy Rosarena, who, by the way, wasn't even given a day of runway in St.
No,
Louis. So
no.
Adolis Garcia, same way. He trips and cost us a playoff spot, and then almost cost us a playoff spot, rounding third base. No, we did. That was 2018, I think.
Yeah.
And they sent him to the shadow realm after that.
Tommy
But
Pham.
but like it's hard for me to sit here and say Walker and Gorman I mean, has there been issues in their development? Yes. Walker should not have been on the opening day roster in 2022. We all agree with that. But like, at what point do you say, "Hey, you're a Major League Baseball player. At some point, you have to be good." It doesn't happen in other
Agreed.
sports.
You and I have talked many, many times on here about take the opportunity you're given. I mean, we've come on here and said we you know Pages whatever, Pages whatever. He's taken an opportunity, and the proof is in the pudding with what he and Pozo have done with the pitching staff. Like
Yep.
you can directly look at that with those two back there, like only those two back there, and see what has happened. And we'll get to that pitching staff in a little bit. You can look at Brendan Donovan, who has done that. You can look at Thomas Sajacy, who has done that. You can
Hmm.
look at Alec Burleson, who did that last year. Jordan Walker and Nolan Gorman have not done that. And I am also of the belief that sending them back down to AAA probably does nothing for the progression of
Hmm.
their not for the movement of their progression, right? I don't think it does because they both of them have shown the ability to go down there and dominate. But at some point, if you can't hit at the big league level, right now you can't hit at the big league level. And I just don't like the idea of playing them every night. Like one of them's in the lineup every night and it feels like it's an out no matter what. And then you got the JC who has done nothing but hit. Feels like he should be your second baseman every night. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, and like the guys batting first and third for you. If I can take you back 3 years to 2022, neither of those two guys were supposed to be starters in 2022. It's Newbar and
Right.
Donovan. They took an opportunity. And for
Yep.
3 years, they haven't let go of the opportunity. They've
Yep.
had ups and downs. Newbar's had injuries, but never once have we thought those two guys weren't top nine players on the team. They took an
No.
opportunity and ran with it. So I get that these guys were number one prospects in our system. Both of them, Walker was number one prospect in baseball for a brief time, and I think Gorman was in the top 25 for maybe top 20 at one time. But like maybe they're just not major league players. Like
Right.
that's possible. We see this all the time. And is there a chance that if Jordan Walker eventually in the next couple of years they say, this just isn't working, we're going to give Chase Davis a chance whenever he's up or whoever it is, and he goes somewhere else and he's good? Yeah, there's always that chance. But like if he's not going to do it here, he's not going to do it here. We've changed hitting coaches twice since he's been here. Um, like I don't know what else you want. Like you can't just baby the guy. I'm sorry. At some point, you
No.
can't bat 180 with no power and not walk and swing at everything. Like it's getting to a point of being incredibly frustrating because he looks the exact same as he did his rookie year when he struggled.
Right.
It's been two
Yeah.
years. At some point, you got
Agreed.
to figure it out, or you're not going to figure it out. Like Victor Scott figured it out. It took Victor Scott an offseason.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. Like, if you look at what Victor has done, like he took the opportunity this year and he's run with it. There will there be a slump for Victor Scott potentially, probably
There already
law of
was, and he
averages,
got back out of
right?
it.
But yes, I mean, he has a 760 OPS. He's playing elite
It's been
center
awesome.
field. Like he has been very, very good for you. Intriguing move by Ollie. I think moving Mason Wynn to the two hole, but boy, it's paid off. I like it there. That's not a guy I would have ever thought you would put in that number two slot. But right now it's working, and I think the fact that Willie's hitting makes everything a little bit different. And we'll talk about Wilson
He's
here in
been
a minute.
awesome. Yeah.
But
Can I
I
be
mean,
honest?
that was an intriguing move to put Mason Wynn in the two slot, something I probably never would have thought of.
Yeah, I hate it. I'm just gonna be honest. I think you have your two best hitters on the team batting fifth and sixth, and I don't like that.
Yeah,
Um, what I would do, and it's worked. So they're on an 8 game winning streak. If it's not broken, don't fix it. But Ivan Herrera should be batting second on this team. Like
yeah,
just
it
bat him
does.
second.
Yeah,
Like if you bat him second and you keep at this point, like I think Wilson's the best hitter on this team. I still think he's your two hitter for the most part, but he's been better in the five hole, so I won't argue against it. Maybe it's a comfortability thing. I don't know. I think if you have Ivan Herrera batting second, you keep Wilson at fifth, and then you bat Mason Wynn sixth. I think it makes a lot more sense.
yeah, I
But
agree.
I do like the idea of having Mason Wynn batting second, so you don't have Scott and Wynn together, where both those guys they can hit home runs, but they're not power guys. I would be surprised if either of them gets to 20 this year, where I think Mason only has two, and I think Vic has two. So you don't have those guys jumbled together. You kind of spread out your power a little bit. Even though your 8 hole hitter between Gorman and Walker also aren't hitting for power. Um, I don't like the idea of constructing your lineup in a way where your two, arguably, you can argue Donovan, he's been awesome. He's been your best hitter this year. But your two best hitters are batting fifth and sixth. I do think that can cause problems if you go through slumps and you're hoping to get to the fifth and sixth spot a fourth time through. Like, you shouldn't be doing that.
Agreed. We agree. We agree. So let's get to Wilson real quick. Obviously, first 19 games pretty rough. Then the injury and everything else. But what we've seen is, I guess not the injury, but you know what I mean.
Well,
Like
that was last year. But
yeah, but not the injury, but like just the weirdness of the first 19 games. So not the injury, but
yeah.
then this last 21 games, he's been one of the best hitters in baseball. Two in his last 21 games, 205 WRC plus, which ranks sixth in baseball. By the way, it's wild that there's 5 people with a higher WRC plus.
Let me
But
guess, Aaron Judge is one of them.
I would assume. But yes, that's a craze. Like he has been insane. And another home run yesterday. He's driving the ball to all fields. He's doing exactly what you paid him to do, even though we do have people who think it was a bad contract.
Yeah, I don't want to get into that because we have already. But he has 6 homers. So
Yeah.
we're in May. I don't want to get my calculator out. I don't think it's outlandish to think the guy can hit 30 homers.
Well, you're a quarter of the way through the season, essentially, right?
So he's on
like
pace
he's on
for
pace for
24.
24. Yeah.
And I don't think he hit one for like the first 15 games.
Yeah, I think he hit one in like the first 19 or something like that.
Yeah,
He has 5 in
so
his last 21.
so like, is it like if he stays hot for the next month and we're going into June and he has 11, then he's right on pace, I would think, for that 30 home run
Right.
mark or right around it. So he's awesome, and I'm hoping people are coming around to the idea. I think most people were already there, but there was this. I think it just comes with all catchers, and this was the same way with Joe Mauer when he moved to first base after his injury, and Buster Posey, where people were saying, yeah, they're good hitting catchers, but are they good hitting first basemen? Vinny Pasquantino is batting third, playing first base for a team, and he's batting like 190. I know he's on my fantasy team, so he has like 3 or 4 homers. First basemen aren't all Mark McGwire, okay, or Albert Pujols. They're not. I know those are obviously extremes. Paul Goldschmidt. They're not all that. Like, those are the best, and it's nice to have a guy like Freddie Freeman you can plug in there and say he's going to give me a 900 OPS every year. But most of them aren't that. So if Wilson Contreras is an 820, 850 OPS guy this year or higher, because it's reasonable to say he could be better than that. He's already almost up to 800 after his slow start. Then you have one of the best first basemen in baseball. Even though he was a catcher at one point in time, he's still one of the best first basemen in baseball.
Yeah, agreed. Like I absolutely agree. And we didn't know how that was going to work, and we saw the early struggles, but he's definitely hit his stride now. And when Wilson rolls, we've said it before. It feels like when he rolls, the team rolls, and that's what's happening right now. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in Philly. We do miss Zach Wheeler. That's good. And I know we'll get to the predictions later, but that was good because Zach Wheeler went out and just dominated on Sunday Night Baseball last night. So anytime you don't have to face him, consider that a win. Now, again, I think the Phillies have the second best starter ERA in Major League Baseball. So you're still you're gonna get Sanchez, you're going to get Nola, I believe. You're gonna get
and Sanchez. No, Sanchez and Luzardo.
Luzardo, who's been incredible. So it's gonna be a tough road to hoe for the Cardinals for these 3 games at Philly. And we know the Cardinals struggles on the road so far this year outside of this weekend. That's gonna be an interesting series, an intriguing series, I think, to keep an eye on because Kyle Schwarber's hitting everything out of the ballpark right now as he leads Major League Baseball with 14 home runs.
Yeah, which is just insane to be in May and have 14 homers.
Hit 2 more last night.
Yeah, did he hit a second one last night?
Yeah, he had a solo shot and a
15.
2-run shot. No, he has 14 now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you want to get to the rotation because I think that's going to be a story because we're facing 3 stars that are really good. And you just talked about them. All 3 of them have had good years. Nola's been weird, but he's good. We know that. But the starters you have going, Libby, Sonny, and Fetty, like, you feel good about those 3 right now. Like, Libby's been awesome. He's been almost the story of the Cardinals rotation. Definitely the story. Like, he looks like a legit, like, I don't know, could he be better than we thought and not just be a guy that can be in your rotation, but be a guy that can be in the top half of your rotation? I don't know. But right now he looks like it.
Did we win the Randy Arozarena trade?
If he becomes a 3 starter for you for 4 years, the answer is yes. And that's crazy. I'm not kidding. The answer is resoundingly yes, because guess who's not in Tampa Bay anymore?
Right.
Randy Arozarena. Now he got them to a World Series, and if Liberatore doesn't do that, there's an argument there. But regardless, if Libby has the best strikeout to walk ratio in all of baseball.
Yeah.
And he's not striking out that many guys, 38 strikeouts and 41 innings, but he's walked. It's like insane. Take a guess. How many people do you think he's walked to start the year? And in 7 starts. How many people do you think he's walked?
I'm going to say 6.
Six. Yeah,
All
six. He's
right.
walked 6 guys. And I think 5 of them have been left-handed, which
Yeah.
is very weird.
If you look
Like,
I just looked it up the last 15 days outside of Palante, who was very good over the weekend, but outside of
really good.
Palante, your other 4 starters are hovering under around 3 or below. I mean, if you look at it, and we can talk about McGreevy and Matz later, who have been also incredible in the last 15 days with what they've been doing. But if you look at, I mean, Fetty 1.93, Miles, I don't even know. I don't know. I don't know what to say about Miles Michaelis except great, keep it going.
I do. I want to
2.3.
talk about him for a second.
Okay, Libby 2.7 and Sunny 3.1. Like that's fantastic. Now, again, the pessimist would say, "Well, you played Pittsburgh twice and you played like okay, whatever. You still have to play the games on your schedule. All we can look at are the stats that we got right now."
Playing devil's advocate to the Washington conversation. I watched Lance Lynn go up like 15 runs last year to Washington, so
Right.
I don't
Right.
care. For Michaelis, they're using him smartly. Like they know they're handicapped, but he's been good. So I'm gonna give him credit. He's been really good over his last since the Boston start where he got absolutely torched. He's been really good. I think he's under a 3 ERA since then. Like he had a start. That start was horrific, and he's still at like a 4.3 ERA, which I think we all would have
Right.
taken coming into the year. Yesterday, interesting decision. He was at 68, 69 pitches through in the 6th inning. And the lefty lane was coming up where it was Nate Lowe who had taken him deep, and James Wood, who's by the way been amazing. I wish we had a James
Yes.
Wood. He had 10 homers. He has 10 homers already. And they took Michaelis out and brought in Steven Matz. And we're like, we know where we're at in this line. We have a chance to win this game. We're not going to let Miles Michaelis see these guys a third time through. And it worked. Like, I think if you can do things like that where you can kind of baby him a little bit, which sucks, you have to do it. But if he's in a situation where it's getting rocky, and I don't care what his pitch count is, but if he's gotten you into the 6th inning, that's a win. If you're winning the
Yes.
game and Miles Michaelis has you in the 6th inning, I don't have any problem with. I don't care if he's at 45 pitches. I don't have a problem with taking him out because he did his job for the day. Like the pitch
Right.
count to me doesn't matter. Like what's it? Why does it matter if he threw 68 pitches or 102? It doesn't matter. He got you through the same amount of innings. Pitches aren't what we need to be looking at all the time. It's innings. And the bullpen's in a place right now where I feel bad for Ryan Fernandez because hopefully he finds something and comes back and he's good again this year. But since they sent him down and stop feeling compelled to put him in the 8th inning of every single game, they've been great. And since they put Steven Matz in a position, we talked about this, to actually be a reliever and stop saying you're going to be a long man, so we're playing one man down the bullpen because we need to save you for when a starter's bad. He's actually like a left-handed specialist, and has like a sub-2 ERA against left, and he doesn't go up hits against lefties. So now you have a left-handed weapon out there, and you have JoJo who's kind of figuring it out. Leahy's been great. Roycroft actually can throw a sinker now again, and Ryan Helsley's been shaky, but he's still getting the job done. To where their bullpen has been the biggest turning point at this point. Everything else has kind of stayed constant, but the bullpen's actually getting the job done finally.
Yeah, and poor Michael McGreevy, they call him up. He goes 5, comes in when you need him, goes 5 2/3, gives up nothing, and then they send him right back down to Memphis, which they need to do. By the way, he needs to stay in the
Yeah, that's
rotation
smart.
down there. Agreed, 100%.
Also,
But
Gordon
yeah,
Graceffo deserves a shout out too. He's been
yeah,
really good.
agreed. Yes.
Um,
So,
but for
like I
McGreevy,
said,
like things like that, like just from McGreevy for a second, things like that, like bringing the guy up, him doing a job and helping you win a game in a doubleheader, giving you 5 innings, which is huge in a doubleheader. You play 18 innings at least in a game, depending on if you go to extra innings. Covering 5 innings of those, that leaves you only 13 now to figure out how to cover, and you have 2 starting pitchers and more relievers to figure that out. To bring guys up to be able to do that and then send them down, that's what smart organizations do. So I don't get
correct.
why people are mad about it. Like I understand the optics of a guy coming up being really good and then going back down is never good. But
Right.
if you do that, then you have flexibility again.
Yeah,
You don't have
agreed.
a guy now in your bullpen that can't throw for 3 days because he just gave you basically a starter's workload of innings.
Right. And then if something, knock on wood, does happen to a starter, he's not ready to be a starter. So it doesn't that
Right.
doesn't make any, which we've seen this team do over and over and over again, where they're struggling to make a starter out of someone, or find
Matthew
somebody who can get
Liberatore
you innings,
for
right?
years.
Or Jordan Hicks, or fill in the blank, right? But yeah, right now, like I said, you can't argue with the way the baseball's being played by this team at all. I am intrigued to. I mean, I am really, really intrigued to see this next. Really, I mean, if you look at it, the next 4 weeks, where you go to Philly and Kansas City, that's a tough 6 game road trip. But Detroit's playing great baseball. You got, and then you come home, you got Detroit and Arizona, and then you go back to Baltimore and Texas, and then you come home for Kansas City and the Dodgers. It's not going to get easier, but that's the way Major League Baseball is. and you're going to have to go out there and you're going to have to win series and you're going to have to win ball games. And your guys who are stepping up are going to have to continue to step up. And at some point, you're going to have to, like we talked about earlier, make a decision on what you're going to do with Jordan Walker and Nolan Gorman. Either they're going to step up or it's time you got to get guys in there who have stepped up. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, this is just it's a gut check, and that's when this is when you want this part of the schedule. When your team's playing well, you want
Right.
to see if it's real or not, because there's a chance it's not real, and they go sub 500 by like 4 games in the next couple of weeks, and then you're like, okay, we know who this team is now. But if they're good, and we've seen this before where they've had stretches against really good teams and they've risen to the occasion. They did it last year for multiple. They swept the Orioles for the first time in like 2 years. They hadn't been swept and
Yeah.
they swept them. So this is when you want to go through that. And if you want a young team to grow and figure it out, tough stretches is when that happens. If you go out there and you win 2 out of 3 in Philly, then the confidence is going to soar and you're going to be going to Kansas City feeling great about yourself. And then who knows? And Kansas City
Right.
doesn't necessarily scare me anyway. Like Cole Reagans can win a
No.
game against you. But as long as you don't give a home run to Bobby Witt Jr., you might be fine with that lineup, even though Michael Garcia has been great. But I think this is when you want these stretches. You want to see what these guys can do. And they're also young. I think part of this Arenado quote, these guys don't know any better, dude.
Right.
Like they're not coming in expecting to win 100 games, but they're also not coming in expecting to lose 100 games. They're going
Right.
into every game seeing how they can win a baseball game. They don't care who they're playing. And I
Yeah.
like that attitude. That's what the Blues were doing. Like this
Yeah.
team could be the Blues. The parallels between the two seasons are like crazy. A young team that has it with some veterans mixed in that has a chance. And if they go on a run, then the confidence soars to a point where they can go someplace you didn't see coming. We see this with young teams
Right.
all the time. Royals last year, for example.
All I just heard was the Cardinals are going to lose their season in heartbreaking fashion.
If the season ends with an extra innings loss against the Dodgers in Game 5 of the NLDS, I am content. Like that's a step.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
agreed. Yeah, it's like I said, Philly. Let's talk about the Philly series. Let's talk about that a little bit, and then we go a little bit around Major League Baseball, and we'll get out of here. Um, what do you expect? What do you expect from this series? What do you think you'll see? Looking at the pitching matchups, what are your thoughts?
I don't have expectations anymore. I'm kind of just along for the ride to see what happens. But I would have been a lot less confident in this if I didn't see them just put up 4 runs against Mackenzie Gore because they're facing 2 really tough lefties.
Back to
And they're in a
back.
hitters friendly, yeah, and they're in a hitters friendly ballpark. Having Ivan Herrera back for the series is absolutely huge. You need that bat in there against Luzardo and Christopher Sanchez. I'm gonna say they win 2 of 3 because they're riding high right now, and I think they need to continue it if they're going to be a good team, and I want them to be a good team. And I think losing 2 of 3 could kind of derail that for a bit. But I mean, if they lose 2 of 3 and they're 3 competitive games, then I'm not gonna be like upset and come on here screaming. That's baseball.
Right.
But like you look at their pitching, I think Liberatore's going to be good. He was really good against the Phillies last time. He outdueled Zach Wheeler when he faced him earlier this year. He kind of gets to neutralize Schwarber and Harper as much as you can neutralize those two guys. And you really just have to not give up homers to Trey Turner and Castellanos. Like that Phillies lineup's good, but it's very navigatable. Is that a word?
I don't know if it is, but I know
Easy
what
to
you mean, and
navigate.
I
It's
agree.
not
Yeah.
deep.
No.
And it's kind of just like don't throw cookies to the 3 guys in the middle of the order that can beat you. And if you don't do that, you're probably fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna stick on it too. I'm gonna say they stay hot and somehow find a way to win 2 out of 3. That's
Oh,
the first.
they're getting
Yeah,
swept.
I
They're
know.
getting
I'd
swept.
probably 100%. I really wanted to say they'd lose 2 out of 3, but I feel like coming on an 8-game winning streak and saying that just kind of defeats my purpose in life in this podcast. So I need them to win 2 of 3 to keep it going because right now the sports world, outside of LSU baseball, there's not much to root for me right now. So we need the Cardinals to be good. Anything else on the Cardinals front that you want to get to before we just
Give
take
me
a
a
look
hitter.
around? Oh, we got 2 left. I'm gonna say Wilson stays hot.
Bold.
Yep.
I'm gonna say Arenado. We didn't talk about him yet. 2 extra base hits yesterday. Homer, off a righty, which was nice to see. He hits well in that ballpark. He had a cycle there in the game we lost. I don't remember if you remember that in 2022. Like a cool moment that of course was ruined by a loss because that's just Cardinals baseball. But I think he's gonna figure out a way to pull some balls. And honestly, if you just pull the ball in the air in Philly, it's going out.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
will. So remember when they hit 4 home runs in a row of Kyle Gibson?
I do. I do remember that. Yes.
By the way,
Yep.
opened up his season to start the year with giving up back-to-back homers to start the game.
Yeah. Yep. Well,
Poor
there's
Kyle.
poor Kyle. I do love Kyle Gibson, but yes, that is how it is. Anything anything around the league that's jumping out at you right now outside of Aaron Judge hitting over 400 still, and we're 40 games into the season? Anything outside of that that's really jumping out to you? I love the way the Cubs win. Also, let me say this. I did want to say this earlier. Hate that the Cardinals don't play the Cubs till the end of June. That's
It's
terrible
ridiculous.
scheduling. Absolutely terrible scheduling
It's
by
ridiculous.
Major
They
League
used to play on my
Baseball.
birthday every single year, which I
Yeah,
just had,
it's
May 7th. They used to play
absolutely
them every
insane.
year.
Absolutely insane
Like
that it's that late.
it was like a 5-year stretch where every year on May 7th we'd go to Busch and skip school and watch the Cardinals play the Cubs at home on like a day game.
Yes.
But that's like not a thing anymore. I don't really get it. Um, Aaron Judge, I guess we can say something about him for a second before I give you the thing that I want to talk about. He he's Barry Bonds. He is. Like at what point do we I understand he's not gonna have the counting stats because he came up when he was 26 and he's probably not gonna get to I mean he'll get to 500 homers probably, but he's definitely not gonna get to 700, I wouldn't think. Unless maybe he does. I don't know. He's a freak. He is I don't remember Albert's prime all of it, right? I remember around like the 2009 to 2011 years. I remember those. I don't remember 2006. I don't remember 2007. I don't remember basically most of his MVP years. I don't remember them. Right now, Aaron Judge is the greatest hitter I've ever seen in my life, ever.
Yeah.
And like I remember Miggy's Triple Crown years. He wasn't like this. He just wasn't. It's
Yeah.
every single day with this guy.
Yep. He is must watch TV. There is no doubt about it. And if the Yankees I don't know what to make of the team. I know they're playing well. They're 23 and 17. Um,
Frauds.
I think so. Like I do, I feel the same. Like
They're
Rodon has been
frauds.
really good, but I don't think their pitching can hold up without Garrett Cole. I'm not saying they won't go make a big move, but I don't know what that big bold move looks like. I think they can hit home runs, but I don't know that they're a team that if you can that in the playoffs can grind out at bats and put together a
I mean,
sustained
they did it last year, I
run.
guess.
They did. That's
I mean, they don't
true.
have Soto, which is obviously a big loss. I do like the additions of Bellinger and Chisholm. It just makes them
And
more
Goldie.
athletic.
Now Chisholm's been out,
Right. Right.
like he will be out till early June, but
Yeah.
you get Chisholm back, that's going to be a big plus. And it's going to be,
But
I'm really intrigued to see what they do when Stanton comes back. What do you do with Ben Rice? What do you do with Trent Grisham, who has 10 home runs and has been incredible in center field? What do you do with Austin Wells? Like, are you going to actually catch Ben Rice? Like the pitching staff loves Austin Wells. Like I don't know. I don't know what you do
and Austin
there.
Wells, when he's right, is one of your best hitters,
I mean,
probably. Like,
he's
yeah, I
got
know he
seven
has.
home runs. Right.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. Ben Rice homered again yesterday,
I
so
know.
he'll probably. I mean, when Goldie is gone, I think it's an easy transition to Ben Rice. I don't know. And me saying they're frauds, I still very well think they could get to the World Series because the American League is kind of just a joke to me. Like, what is the American League? Is there a
It's
good
pretty
team in the
rough.
American League?
Yeah, I mean, I think Detroit's good. I do think Detroit is good because of their
Detroit's
pitching.
not that good though.
Well, I
If
mean
they were in
that.
the NL West, they would be in fifth place, fourth
Well, we
place.
can't say that because we don't
I
know what their
can. Are
schedule
they
would
better
look
than
like.
Are they better than the Dodgers?
Okay, well,
Are they
okay.
better than the
I see. You
Padres?
can't play
Are
those
they better
games. Those
than
are the
the Diamondbacks? I'll
you
give you a
can't
no
pl-
on all three of
you
those.
can't play the fake games, and you know that they're 26 and 17. Like you can't come on here and say, well, you can't
I
get
can.
you
I
can't get
just
you
did.
can't you can't you can't come on here
It's
and say
Terry
that you get
Skubal and
mad
nobody else in their rotation.
you get mad at the Cardinals for beating teams that they should beat, and then you say the same. Like you can't get mad at the Tigers for doing the
I'm not
same
mad
thing.
at them and good. They're going to make the playoffs and fine. They're not good.
We'll see. I mean, I think they're. I mean, Spencer
Name me four
Torkelson's
hitters
been
on the
good.
Tigers.
Torkelson, Riley Green, Colt Keith.
Cole Keith sucks, but okay.
You didn't say good hitters. You
Okay,
said
name me
name
another
me
one.
four.
One more.
Javi Baez, Gleyber
Who's a center
Torres.
fielder now? That's how
That's
bad it is.
five. That's five.
Okay, so are any of them good
Who's
outside
the
Riley
other
Green?
guy? Who's the other young guy that they've got out there?
You tell me.
By the way, Riley Green is very good. Spencer Torkelson
Yeah,
is
Riley
very
Green's
good.
very good. Who else is good?
Spencer Torkelson.
He's been
I'm
horrible
not.
the last
By
2 weeks.
the way, I'm not coming on saying they're. What is wild is you do have four teams in that division because remember when I said the Twins were terrible? Well, they've won eight in a row like the Cardinals, and they're above 500 now too, and they're playing
I think
pretty
the Twins are the
inspiring
best team in that
baseball.
division. That's my hot take.
Interesting, interesting. I think it's the
If Forrest
Guardians.
Lewis is healthy,
I
and
think
he's
it's the
never is.
Guardians,
But did you see the
but
video of Jack White in the booth?
yeah,
He's apparently a massive Tigers fan, which I didn't
yeah,
know.
he's from Detroit.
He says he goes on stage angry when the Tigers are losing when he's going on stage.
Yeah,
So the one thing that I did want to talk about, and I think we can kind of intertwine this with the Cardinals, is because Contreras was willing to move positions and
right.
wasn't being a complete and total asshole. Is Rafael Devers, and I want to know what your take is on this because I have a couple, but Rafael Devers, for those that didn't know, very upset about moving to third base. He said, "I play third" when they asked him, and then Alex Cora was like, "No, you don't, not anymore. We have Alex Bregman, who's been awesome, by the way." And now they want him to move to first base. The funniest part about this whole thing is they asked Alex Cora, the front office said, Alex Cora, can you tell Rafael Devers and ask him if he will play first base? And he said, nope. He said, you're going to ask him. I'm not doing that because I already asked him to move to TH and that didn't go well. And it's finally working. Rafael Devers is starting to hit now, which we all knew he would. And Rafael Devers
Hit
just
another.
basically said no.
Yeah.
After his teammate had like a devastating injury on the field where he's like out for at least a year. Tristan Cassis, that poor guy. Uh, Like I get that there's pride, and especially like when we talk about Latin players, it's a different sort of pride when you're a franchise player from Latin America than America. They're just it's different cultures. Respect is different in those cultures. I understand that. Well, I don't, but I get that it's different. So I'm saying that from a lens of someone who wants isn't one of the best hitters in the world, and also isn't from a different country where you had to work your ass off just to get over here to be one of the best hitters in the world. I get that, but at some point, like just be a good teammate and go play first base.
I
How hard is
okay.
it?
I first of all, on the surface, I agree with everything you just said. Like everything on the surface, I think it's that way. And I think also to that if you want to be honest about the debate on like, yes, I agree, Rafael Devers go play first base. Whatever. I don't know that Rafael Devers can play first base. I think that's
No, I
part of
agree
the
with that.
concern.
I
I
agree
think
with
that's part of the
that.
concern. But I also do believe that this isn't about Rafael Devers playing first base for the Boston Red Sox. I think it's that he still feels slighted by the front office and is sort of just drawn his line in the sand and said, you guys kind of disrespected me with this contract talks for a while. And then finally it got done. Whatever. You made me move the position that I came up and played and helped you win a World Series and do all this other stuff. I honestly believe it's more about that. I'm not taking a stance on whether or not that's right or wrong. I'm not in that boat, and I think that's where it is. And I don't
It's a respect thing.
I
That's what
I
it is.
would I move to first base? Absolutely. But I'm
Mhm.
not Rafi Devers and I'm not a superstar in this game. I think it's really easy for the guys. Like I've heard a lot of the guys talk about this, and a lot of the guys who are talking that are getting frustrated with him not doing it were guys who are average Major League Baseball players. I don't, the mind of a superstar is completely different in every
But can I
sport.
give you? I
I'm
agree,
not
and
saying
that's
I'm
true.
not saying I
But I
wouldn't
can
do it.
give
And
you three
obviously, yeah, I
examples.
agree. Jose Ramirez, Mookie Betts. I mean Freddie Freeman played
Bryce
third base.
Harper.
We agree. We agree. I'm not saying all superstars, but I'm not defending him. I would want my superstar on my team. I mean, we saw Will Clark move to right field here in St. Louis when we got him, right? Obviously, that's at the end of his
Mhm.
career, but whatever. But I would
Albert
want him to,
Pujols
right?
changed
I
positions
would want him to
twice.
do that. I would want him to do that. I'm just simply giving you sort of through the lens of what I think Rafi is seeing it through versus the lens that as fans and as outsiders we see it through, where it's really easy to just like beat him down and say, "Oh my God, he's a
Mhm.
terrible teammate," when everyone in that locker room says otherwise, and everyone who's ever played with him sort of says
That's
otherwise.
well. There's a apparently there people in the locker room that were not happy with what he said,
I'm
which you
sure.
shouldn't
I'm
be.
sure.
Like, and here's the thing: one, the Red Sox screwed this up. Why were
Uh,
you telling him when you knew you were getting Bregman or Arenado? Like, it was not everyone knew they were getting one of the two, and they were telling him he was still the third baseman. Why? Why don't
right.
you just go up to him
Agreed.
and say, "Hey, Rafi, go
That's
take some balls at first base. We might need you there. You know, we want you to be flexible. We think Alex Bregman makes his team a lot better, so we're going to try to go after him." Like, it's that simple. And I think he would have probably been like, "Okay," but instead you told him he was the third baseman, and then he wasn't, and then he had to answer questions before you had made a decision on whether he was playing third or Bregman was playing second base. So you made him go talk to the media. By the way, it's his second language, and
correct.
I know there is some things out there about the translator not translating everything because he said some things that were maybe a little bit more scathing than what was translated. That happens all the time. That's not only protecting Rafael Devers, it's protecting your organization. I have no problem with
Correct.
that. But at some point you had to just say it. He couldn't do that anymore because everything Devers was saying was bad. So it was like you
I
had to start saying it. But also from the Rafael Devers perspective, I don't understand what the upside is in doing and handling it the way he's handled it.
no.
Like he should have come out and said, first and foremost, probably said, I feel horrible for Tristan Cassis. He said nothing about him. Like come out and be like, this is horrible. Our team needs this. I'm gonna talk to the organization about what's best moving forward. And then if you want to go into the room and talk like you did to the media, no problem. But you don't need to be saying that to the media. You just don't.
Yeah. I think it's easy for us to say that what he should have
It is.
said.
Obviously, I'm not
That's
Rafael Devers. I'm not even gonna
right.
try to get in his mind.
It's like you're not
But
living in a country where you don't speak the language. Like
it's just such a stark contrast to
I
how Wilson Contreras has
yes.
handled everything that's happened
Yeah,
here.
we agree. How
And
Bryce
now
Harper
Contreras,
handled everything. How
yeah, and
now
that's
we don't
different
know that there weren't
cultures, obviously,
arguments.
but
We don't know that there weren't arguments behind closed doors with Bryce Harper. We don't know that. I don't think there was. I would doubt that there was.
I
Just
doubt
knowing
it.
Bryce Harper. I mean, we saw Mookie go to short to second to right in the same season. We've seen
Right.
Craig Biggio move 3 positions 3 times. But again, we're talking different cultures. I just don't know the answer. I don't want to bury the guy for stuff that I
No,
don't know. If he was on my team, would I have wanted him to say, yes, I'll do what's best for the team? Absolutely. But I do
100%.
think it's way deeper than what we like the way it's reported a lot of time. That's all I'm going to say.
Doesn't it feel like this ends with him not being a Red Sox his whole career?
That's okay. So I was watching what's the podcast with Xavier Scruggs and Steve. His name's Steve
I don't know.
something. Used to be the Mets GM,
Oh, I
white haired
don't know.
guy. Okay, whatever. You'd
Dan
know him when you
O'Dowd?
saw him. No, 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 younger guy than that. But either way, you'd know him if you saw him. Anyway, he said he thinks Devers gets traded, and the Red Sox just kind of move on from it now. And I was like, man, that's your guy. Like, are you gonna? I mean, you do
Maybe
have
it's
Greggy
not.
there, but maybe that. I mean, maybe that's the move. I mean, it just seems to me like if you're the Red Sox, this should have never gotten out. Also, I kind of blame them. Like, you could have also sheltered him
No.
from this getting out.
Go sign
But
Anthony Rizzo and don't have this problem.
that's. I think that's the yes. That's what I'm saying. Go sign a first baseman, and then you don't have to worry about it. We agree. But I
Like,
do agree wholeheartedly. I'm not defending. Right. I don't want people to come on and say, "Oh, well," I'm not defending that. I would wanted him to move to first base, and we wouldn't have even known about anything. But I just think there's other extenuating circumstances that have him pissed off, right or wrong, that this has
mhm.
led to where it is now.
I also think, like, just to give him the benefit of the doubt, if it was handled better, I don't think this would be a problem.
Right.
Like,
I
if you
agree.
went into the offseason and said, hey, we don't know what we're going to do, but there are third basemen out there that we really like, and there's not a lot of first basemen. Will you at least take some reps there and see if you can get comfortable
Yes.
there? Like, now you're asking him to do something that's really hard, which is go play first base in the middle of a season. That's not easy. Wilson had a whole offseason, but it is such a stark difference between Wilson getting benched from being a catcher, and still being like, I'm a team guy, I'm going to figure this out. And then them telling him, go play first base and don't be a catcher anymore. And he'll be like, okay, I'll do it.
Right.
Until what Rafael Devers is doing, they're different people, different personalities. And I'm sure Wilson had some moments where he wanted to say the things that Rafael Devers has said,
Agreed.
but he didn't say them.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with all of that. Do you last thing I'll ask you, and then we can get out of here. Are you a believer in two things: the Cubs offense and the Seattle Mariners?
Um, I'm a believer in the Seattle Mariners pitching for sure. That I think it's
But they're
incredible.
like top five in baseball in offense right now.
Yeah, Kyle Raleigh's the best catcher in baseball. Is that fair to say?
Best offensive and defensive? Yeah, probably. I would say yes.
Yeah, I think he's the best all-around catcher in baseball.
Yeah,
No, because I don't think that team's ever going to get to where it needs to be if Julio Rodriguez isn't a superstar, and I don't think he's a superstar anymore. Um,
yeah.
and for the Cubs, I believe they have a good offense. I don't believe they have a great offense because I don't know
Okay.
if Pete Armstrong's going to be this the whole year. I don't
Ten
think Dansby
bombs.
Swanson and Nico Horner are very good offensively. They've been good so far. I I think they've gotten really hot, and Kyle Tucker's made a huge difference, like we knew he would. But I don't think they'll end the year as a top 3 to 5 offense in baseball. I think they'll be more around 8 to 10. So yeah, I believe they're good. I don't believe they're great.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing that lately, right? Obviously, Pete Crow Armstrong continuing to hit. Tucker's been good. Michael Bush has been really good. And he's in like 270 with 7 jacks. Like, but we knew those three guys were going to hit, right? I think we knew that. But I'm in agreement with you on
I
Dansby
didn't know PCA
Swanson,
was going to hit. I'm
Horner,
kind of
and
shocked at what he's done.
I don't think Carson Kelly will hit 430 all year. So I think that
He's been saving my fantasy team.
I think that'll be okay. Oh, back to the Mariners. Jorge Polanco is back. Like that's been the godsend for the Twins or the
Mhm.
Mariners. Is he's reverted back to what 2021 Polanco? Like that's what he's putting up. I mean, that was a guy. I don't remember the year. Was it 19 where he was in the MVP talk? Remember he was in the MVP talks
He's
for
had a
a
couple of
while.
years like that. Yeah.
So he seems to be different there. That if you don't watch it, I don't watch as many games as I'd like because I am a Mariners fan back from being a kid. But they're a fun team to watch, and they're getting ready to get George Kirby back. Like that's one thing I don't think a lot of people are talking about. He's good. They haven't had him all year. A lot of people still think that that's Texas's division. I get it. By the way, the Athletics are playing really good baseball. They don't have a lot of pitching at all. Severino can't get outs at home, which in that bandbox who can, but he's been really good on the road. But they can swing it. That team can absolutely swing it. And then the Astros are always going to be the Astros. I think that's going to be an interesting run out there in the West on both sides. We didn't talk about the NL West where you've got 4 teams. I mean, clogging it up out there. So that the
Yeah.
West Coast baseball, it's humming right now.
The last thing I have on that is the Rangers. I think they have the ability to be the best team in the American League. Like I think they have the talent there to do it. Wyatt Langford's been really good, but it's just so nice to see Jacob deGrom making starts again.
Right. Right.
Genuinely, that's all I want in life. I
Yeah.
think that's I'm a simple man. Just let me watch Jacob deGrom once every 5 days. That's all I
Yeah.
want.
Yeah. It
Like
was
he,
cool to see the young brothers pitch against each other, play against each other yesterday, Detroit and Texas.
yeah. Does Jacob deGrom get in the Hall of Fame for his peak years?
I think he has to. I
I'd put
mean,
him in.
yeah, I think
I
he
would.
has to.
He was Sandy Koufax. I know he might not have the career WAR and
Right.
all that stuff, but for
Right.
that like five, and Sandy did it for about 10 years, and I think deGrom
Yeah.
did it probably for like six if you were to look at it, maybe seven.
Right.
But there was nothing like if you guys are just starting watching baseball in the last 4 or 5 years, there was nothing like watching Jacob deGrom in like
No.
2018 and 19.
He
It was
was.
an automatic. He's gonna throw 80. He's gonna throw 105 pitches. 80 of them are going to be over 100 miles per hour, and nobody's going to
Yeah.
touch it.
Yep.
It was Paul Skeens, but just better, like
Yeah.
wild.
Let's relax.
He was
Yeah.
better.
I know. I
No
know.
one could
You're
touch
right.
him.
Yeah.
It
Yep.
was like every once in a while someone would hit a home run and they'd be shocked.
Yeah. I know. I know. It's like bench warmers. I tipped it. I tipped it.
Seriously, it was insane.
Oh, all right. Well, hey, it's good to be back. If you're still listening and you're still following along, we greatly appreciate you. Sorry for the delay. Like I said, life happens and it gets in the way sometimes. And we are back. I know that this weekend is a big weekend for Caleb, graduation. So we will be up there at the University of Illinois, there in the House of Pain. Is that where this shindig is happening in the Assembly
Right,
Hall?
it's right next to the House of Pain. It's going to be at the House of Very Few Victories in football in the
I
football
do.
stadium.
I just want you to know that I will be there in body as far as when the speaker is talking, but I'm probably not going to listen to one thing that guy says.
I might fall asleep.
Yeah, like there's no chance you're going to get me to listen to a guy get up there and talk. Why is
I,
it not Nick Offerman? Why is it not
I
Will Leach? Why is it not somebody that I
you
would
know
listen
why?
to?
Because it's because I'm here. Next year
Next year, next year will be
it's gonna be Nick
Obama,
Offerman.
and then it'll be Nick
Oh yeah,
Offerman.
right. I think Obama's done it before. I think he
He
has.
has, he
Look
has.
and we get the chancellor who retired and then
Yeah,
unretired to go somewhere else. I think he went to
yeah,
Arizona, something
yes.
like that.
I'm not in. I'm happy for your
I don't want to go.
graduation.
I
Well, me
don't want to
neither.
go.
But that's a whole
I'm not
nother
being
story.
forced. People like you because people keep telling me you should want to go. I'm like, why? I don't at all.
Yeah, I get it, but it is your graduation. We are incredibly proud of you, so that is cool. I'm looking forward to wherever you're going to take me for dinner that night, so that's good.
No, probably Portillo's, to be honest
No, I
with you.
want to go there Friday night. Can we go there Friday night?
Oh, okay, that's fine. Yeah,
Okay,
that's fine.
good. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. It's good to be back. We will probably be back next Monday, is my guess. So where we'll go through the next two because we're traveling back north, and then we'll be up there at the House of Pain, next door to the House of Pain for the for Kale's graduation. So it's great to be back. Go Cardinals this week, and we will talk to you soon. Go Cards.